Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to hear is not a drill. Remy Ma didn't just lose her temper in court. She went down. And 50 Cent was the one who brought her crashing to the ground with only 2 words. You heard right? One of the witnesses was the artist himself for Remy Ma's own son's murder trial, not for a show or a fight. And he released more than just testimony. Her entire defense plan was ruined. Why were 50 people in that courtroom? What had he observed? And how in the world did his comments cause Remy's legal team to go into such chaos in only a few seconds? Do you think you've seen any drama on Law & Order? Please. This was reality TV meets criminal court with a dash of betrayal, lies, and a secret no one was allowed to know. Remy thought she knew the system. But as soon as 50 Cent began, the courtroom turned into a battleground, and only one story survived. Be careful, for what he uttered might be Remy Ma's last words. Gentlemen and ladies, you were worried that you may look messy? No, because of what happened in that New York courtroom. The word scandal has been formally redefined. This falling circus revolves around Remy Ma, the rap queen who became a judicial disaster, with 50 Cent surprisingly playing the role of executioner. A case that started it all was already causing the streets to hum. The horrible death of Remy's 14-year-old son, which has not been explained. A case cloaked in mystery, rage, and silent stress. But no one saw this coming. No one could have predicted that the trial would become so explosive that it would leave the judge, supporters, and detractors completely in disbelief. Remy walked into the courtroom that morning like she owned the room. Black sunglasses, a cold stare, and the same Bronx don't play attitude we've seen 100 times before. But she didn't expect 50 Cent to be the surprise wildcard witness and the prosecution's secret weapon. Indeed, Curtis 50 Cent actress, businesswoman, and beef lover Jackson is now a crucial witness in a murder case that might decide whether Remy Ma receives a life sentence. However, what if we traveled back in time? The trial was controversial from the start. Remy's son was found shot behind a Staten Island warehouse, sparking rumors of gang links, rap industry retaliation, and a botched cover-up. The first story: intermittent violence on the streets. There was much more going on, though, according to the real insiders. Text messages between Remy and a known gang middleman were found to include unsettling coded language. Clever phrases like "handle it before it spreads" indicate that he knew too much. Of course, Ree's organization said that it was out of context, but that did not persuade the prosecution in the least. Things start to become heated at this point. Reminiscent of a Netflix legal drama, the DA's office sprung a surprise halfway through the trial. A subpoena had been issued to someone who had first-hand knowledge of the events leading up to the murder. A witness said that Remy confided in him at a private party in Tribeca a few weeks before the murder. And the individual who was served with the subpoena, 50 Cent. At first, everyone laughed. A rapper who gave a statement. Act quickly. Yet when 50 showed up in a charcoal gray suit and smiled as if he already recognized as that courtroom was about to blow up the internet, atmosphere shifted from skepticism to pure suspense. As soon as 50 took the stand, you could hear a pin drop. Not even the bailiff breathed. The lawyers for Remy looked frightened. Her spouse, Papoose, sat only 2 seats behind her, looking as if he had just seen a ghost. Remy didn't blink once. Either, the prosecution made a single direct question. Did Remy Ma ever discuss her concerns that her kid would know about her personal business affairs with you, Mr. Jackson? 50 paused, then leaned into the microphone and said the 2 words. That made Ree's soul supposedly leave the building. She did. Indeed. Just those 2 words. Nothing fancy or very detailed, just a simple affirmation. And it hit like a grenade. Remy's lawyer immediately objected, shouting about relevance and hearsay. The courtroom trembled. Reporters fumbled for their phones. Twitter became popular. This issue is made even more problematic by the fact that Remy and 50 have a history of complicated Revenge fueled past stand that some people think 50 is only there to stir things up. While her hands were shaking, one witness said Remy whispered, "He's lying." And let's not ignore the more serious issue at hand. This goes beyond emotional parenting to include premeditation, intention, and intent if 50 is correct in implying that Remy confided in him because her son was a liability. Others say Remy is telling the truth and doesn't care about the consequences. While a leaked court record obtained exclusively by sources close to Gossip Bill Vibe describes a private text exchange in which he allegedly wrote, "I gave him everything. If he talks, we're all done. All of us. Who are we? Remy?" The entire internet began to ask that question. Conspiracy theorists went into overdrive. Was Papoose involved? Did this have anything to do with past disputes in the field? Was Remy defending someone bigger than himself? Meanwhile, a reality show used the courthouse as a stage. Every day brought a new twist. One day, it was an anonymous tip. Security video of Remy's SUV parked near the warehouse at 3 in the morning came next. The night of the murder. This was not mentioned by her legal team in her initial alibi. And who provided the footage, do you know? Reports state that a rival musician who wanted Remy gone forever paid off an unnamed source. The streets claimed that it was a member of the 50s camp, a quiet assistant who turned whistleblower. Such details are still dangerous and imprecise, though. The public's reaction should also not be disregarded. It was the day that 50 testified that social media fell apart. Using hashtags like #ReMyOwn and #50, she became a global trend in a matter of minutes. Rap blogs enjoyed themselves immensely. Just when everyone thought things couldn't get any crazier. The victim's girlfriend's mother, Jasmine Dior, who is an angry wild card in this already chaotic circus, showed up. Remy's fans, however, were divided when Wendy Williams emerged from hiding to tweet, "Remy, girl, you in trouble." She also held a banner outside the courthouse that read, "50 told the truth. The Bronx knows." With 50 on the stand, you know it's Deri's. Personal. Others begged her to tell the truth, saying, "We rode for you. Don't let us down." Even celebrities participated in the chanting outside the courtroom. Free Remy. In contrast, Remy's longtime friend Fat Joe posted an enigmatic prayer emoji without a message. While Cardi B stated live, "This whole thing feels shady." So what does this mean for Rhee's situation? Legal experts warned that even if 50's statement was brief, it could have severe consequences. His status as a prominent celebrity and his previous relationship with Remy give his statement substantial weight with the jury if the DA connects it to those threatening texts and the video. Folks, we haven't even arrived at the most important turn yet, because everyone thought the worst was over when Remy Ma did something unexpected right before the court adjourned for the day. She stood up, turned to Papoose, and whispered something incredibly unsettling. A reporter in the courtroom described it as sounding like the final scene of a mob movie. But what did she say? Now, let's pick up where we left off. Remy Ma went slowly to Papoose, red-eyed and terrified from the 50-cent courtroom attack, and mumbled something cold and shivering. Even the stenographer reportedly stopped typing. What did she say? According to a courtroom source, a legal aide was seated 3 feet away when she said, "You said he'd never talk." In one sentence, she confirmed what the prosecution had only suggested, that 50's evidence was shocking and betraying her, and that she and Papoose had a deeper, secret understanding. Now, let's talk about strategy. Rhee's defense team had them running about like pigeons in a thunderstorm. When 50 left the stand, her lawyers almost pleaded with the court for an emergency sidebar to have his statement taken out of the record. But the judge doesn't seem interested. Indeed, His Honor made that clear. If Mr. Jackson's testimony is backed up by additional evidence, this court will not dismiss it on procedural grounds. Translation: You're done, Remy. Meanwhile, just outside at the courthouse, things were getting out of control. Protesters were now engaged in combat, with some calling for justice and others supporting Remy. The words "Guilty Ma" were spray painted across the back of her Escalade. And to make matters worse, Papoose did not go home with her that night. Yes, departed in a different car. No eye contact, no hand-holding, just silence. Let's get right to the point, because anonymous sources, the ones who typically send direct messages when things go sketchy, came out with something that sparked an online firestorm. Remy and Papoose's home was the subject of a secret recording allegedly made by a servant a few days after their child was murdered. In the video, muted voices can be heard arguing. The voice responds, "You said you'd handle it. Clean. Now we got 50 running his mouth on a damn stand." The woman, who is purportedly Remy, responds, "I told him to stay out of it. He did this to himself. It's scary right now." To influence public opinion, Ree's public relations staff clearly rushed to claim that the tape was a fake audio engineering job. The court did not dismiss it, nevertheless. Instead, they asked for a comprehensive forensic analysis. It gets dangerously messy at this point. While the jury was away for the weekend, the prosecution released even more damning evidence. Remy's financial records. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were moved between dummy businesses, companies, and overseas accounts just a few weeks prior to her son's murder. Some of them are known as security retainers. It's referred to them as silencing expenses. Think about that for a second. Where were the headquarters of these companies located? The Cayman Islands, the Bahamas, and even one associated with a management firm that was closed and run by 50 Cent's competitor. Imagine the drama of a complete circle. Legal commentators on television went bananas. The most negligent paper trail in the history of celebrity crimes was the moniker given to it. The most ridiculous part was when the god Charlemagne went live and said that Remy didn't just fumble the bag. What someone else said was, "It's like she wanted to get caught." She burned it, danced on the ashes, and then presented TMZ with the evidence in a Tiffany box. The wild card should not be disregarded. Dior's Jasmine. She's back, indeed. This time with a bang. She appeared in court with what appeared to be a diary and a blood-red trench coat and claimed that it belonged to Ree's son. For a time, let that ring in your ears if anything happens to me. Don't trust her. Pages of warnings and anxiety. Naturally, Ree's team now insists that it is a scheming attempt to weaken the case and is a fabrication. But here's the worst part. However, the prosecution filed it because, see, the handwriting is the same as previous notes. Authored by her son and approved by his school and therapist. Now, let's calculate. The victim's own journal confession, 50 Cent's testimony, audio evidence from her home, and cash trails to concealed accounts. Remy Ma's not guilty plea is starting to seem like a pipe dream wrapped in duct tape. We're not done yet, as Papoose suddenly leaves the court. No show, no explanation. Reporters swarm his crew, demanding explanations. There was total radio quiet, no social media updates, and no comments. The media is then abruptly shown a sealed letter from Papoose. A mystery shipment of shaky scribbled ink to a Bronx journalist. In one TikTok that went viral, fans used voiceovers, fake tears, and trap beats to recreate trial scenarios. When he wrote, "I tried to protect my family. I never thought it would come to this. If she goes down, we both do." So now the world wants to know, is Papoose flipping? Is he going to take the stand? Will he become the next bombshell witness? The internet went completely crazy. Meanwhile, Spotify's streams of Remy's earlier tracks increased by 300%. A breakdown seems to sell better than anything else. But the attention came with a response, and civil rights groups began to wonder why celebrity cases garner so much attention. Every day, Victims are overlooked despite extensive media coverage. Others claim that rather than seeking justice, the DA was using 50 Cent for publicity and power. Still, the evidence grew stronger. Then the hammer dropped. One of the prosecution's closing arguments was Remy Ma's affiliation with an underground network of elite criminals known as fixers, who helped clean up the wreckage left by the famous and wealthy. The man allegedly tossed away her son's phone and erased the warehouse footage. It's the same person who cleaned for another well-known rapper in an assault case in 2019. Yes, Remy isn't the only focus anymore. Courts are ready to tear through the whole maze of silence, secrets, and payoffs. Now, even Judge Martinez was obviously spooked. His words at recess were captured on a hot mic. If half of this is true, she's going out for good. But what do you? No, just when everyone thinks the trial has reached its climax, another witness appears. Additionally, it's the same someone that Remy once trusted with her life. Who is it? What did they say? And why did the courtroom degenerate into pandemonium in response to the bailiff's demands for order? Do you remember where we left off? Just when you thought this trial could get any stranger, another mystery witness shows up in court. At any rate, not just anyone. No. But guess what? This was Tasha Denaro, a longtime family friend, a former assistant, and the person Remy used to call ride or die. It appears that the voyage has come to an end, as has the loyalty. The courtroom guards stepped aside. Tasha came in with a single black, makeup-free sheet of paper. She didn't sit. She didn't hesitate. She read. I remained silent out of fear. But the fate of that youngster was not a coincidence. It wasn't random. It was planned. Breathe, the court reporter, even made a mistake with her pen. Tasha claims that 2 weeks before the murder, Papoose went to a clandestine meeting that Remy had set up. After she described her son going through her drawers, going through documents, and asking questions that may ruin careers, she made the statement that shook the audience. Remy Ma eventually started crying in court after hearing just one sentence. But Papoose didn't stop her from stating, I might lose everything if he keeps talking. Although no cameras were allowed, there were real tears and shaking shoulders. And someone inside leaked audio. And in that 15-second clip, it now has 3 million TikTok views with the hashtag #RemyBreaks. Outside the courthouse, however, there was total mayhem. Protesters turned into protesters. The protesters were vloggers. Conspiracy theorists started creating real crime boards on Instagram stories by using threads. Before you know it, Beyoncé will testify. To be honest, it's not impossible at the moment. One person even went viral with the cry, first 50 cents, now Tasha. Now, let's talk about the consequences. Legal experts claim that Remy Ma's case is currently in danger of failing on the basis of unfounded allegations and character assassination. Tasha's team tried to declare a mistrial after her testimony, but Judge Martinez would have none of it. If Ms. Dinero's testimony is consistent with the timeline and financial records, it's not gossip. It's grounds for conviction, he said, reprimanding her attorney first. Translation, remember to pack a toothbrush. Then the plot took a different turn. Who finally makes it back to court? Papoose sat down in the witness box, wearing a brand new suit and devoid of any jewelry or marital rings, and looked straight ahead without ever looking at Remy. The court said nothing. The magistrate nodded his head. Mr. Mackey, did you attend the private meeting described earlier? A long silence. Papoose blinked twice and then nodded. Keep quiet. Was Remy concerned about what her kid had done? Another nod. Did she mention that her career will be at risk because of his actions? Papoose said. Yes. Remy Ma looked like she had been hit by a truck. Forget tears. Was shocking and a blatant betrayal. She used to be concerned about keeping him down, but now she hardly blinks as he throws her under the legal bus. In keeping with his usual flair for courtroom theatrics, Papoose responded to the question of why he was testifying at this particular moment with the coldest response in Bronx history. Despite my love for her, I will not go to jail for her. That sentence has since been turned into a meme, a t-shirt, a diss track sample, and a full culture on the internet. People, here's the twist of all twists. After Papoose's testimony, the prosecution rested their case. No more evidence drops. A cool, confident walk-off and startled bystanders. The defense? They hurried, tried to introduce character witnesses, brought in a friend from Ree's early years who said she loved her child, and even tried to make her seem like a victim of fame and pressure. But let's be honest, the damage had already been done. Now, 50 Cent dropped a surprise to the jury. Hidden tape that was incriminating. A warning from a dead boy's diary. Testimony from her own husband and a trusted assistant, leaked surveillance and cryptic emails, and more were all provided by her. It was more than just a case now. Both the legacy and the verdict were destroyed. Let's discuss that. But first, the repercussions. The public split completely. Some advocates clung to the Free Remy movement, claiming that she was being framed by people like 50 who didn't like to see a strong woman win and that the industry was setting her up. However, some felt misled and duped. Some even called for her music to be taken down from streaming sites because they could no longer tell the difference between the blood and the bars. Meanwhile, record labels are discreetly ending their relationship. With her and her beauty business, Remy Lux has halted all shipments while it awaits legal review. BT pulled all of her promotional materials after previously hiring her for a memorial performance and made an unclear statement about reevaluating responsibilities in light of public safety and brand values. Joe Button, who rarely takes sides, made the statement, "Man, if this is true, that isn't the Remy I knew. That's something else. That's evil Liv." The prosecution is also not giving up on her. Rumors have now surfaced that Papoose would receive immunity in exchange for his full cooperation in a broader probe allegedly involving money laundering, witness intimidation, and possibly further related deaths. Indeed, precisely. It's possible that Remy's predicament is just the start of something far darker. This brings us to the courtroom's final scene. After 2 arduous weeks of testimony, evidence leaks, and public outcry, the jury returned with its decision. Remy Ma stood silent, pale, and without expression. In the courtroom, the clerk read the charges. On the charge of conspiring to commit murder, we find the defendant. Cut to black because that's the cliffhanger we're leaving you on. At this moment, now we give it to you, the people. Was justice served? Was 50 Cent right to make this choice? Or was this just another outrageous hip-hop chess play between Queens and the Bronx? Is Remy's mother a genius hiding behind poetry and the spotlight? Or is she just seeking solitude? And Papoose's hero or traitor? In all honesty, this tale is more intricate than Drake and Kanye's friendship arc. We would also want to know what role you currently hold. Kindly provide your thoughts in the space provided for comments below. We are reading all of them, and don't stop there. Kindly like, share, and subscribe. It's a celeb tycoon because, as you are well aware, this is not the end. We're exploring the future in great detail. Sealed indictments, private investigators, used by Ree's label, and leaked emails connect this case to even more well-known industry players. You thought Remy was the last one? Think again. There are rumors that someone even more significant was secretly subpoenaed. The case will seem like a warm-up act because of the well-known name? Make sure your notifications are switched on because, let's just say, after the following video, the industry will never be the same. Meanwhile, stay vigilant, keep your screenshots ready, and remember that 2 words may destroy everything in the worlds of celebrity, loyalty, and murder. #StayUnorganized.